The following video contains spoilers. We suggest watching the episodes alone in the dark. Hey, Wolfpack! You want to see us review the new beloved horror movie Midsommar? Well, too bad, because copyright won't allow us. So I guess instead I'm finally talking about that disturbing Twilight Zone episode where the white guy is cursed to be a black guy. Ow.
Cat, you idiot! We want you to review Midsommar! Do it now!
But Pinky, how can I do that when copyright is already giving us so much trouble over our regular TV show episode reviews? A movie like this is so recent that it's very likely this video might get blocked.
You dummy head! That's what we're here for!
You cats really want to help me? Oh, of course, silly old feline. We promised you that we'd help your channel expand, and this is the perfect chance to do so. We're all here to aid you in your time of need, Sir Catastrophe. You remember your Hereditary review? Yeah, you mean my first ever clipless review, where I had our characters reenact everything in the movie since copyright would block us if we had any real footage?
Yep, we're doing it again! It's Wolf Entertainment's clipless review of Midsommar!
Oh! I'm not quite sure about this. It was one thing when it was done with you, Pinky, and my professional co-stars, but with a whole new ensemble cast, things might get a tad bumpy. I honestly don't even know you cats all that well.
Don't be ridiculous! I'm Pinky, the nicest one! That scaredy cat, he's a coward! Thundercatter is the egomaniac! Cat-Tana is a suck-up! And this one is the liar!
I am not! Shut up, big cat liar. Let's get this over with. Some of us have more important lives to get back to. I take it the boss cat won't be joining us. You mean Catalyst? Oh my, no. He's much too busy to involve himself in the petty groundwork. That's usually reserved for his competent paw troopers. Never fret, kitty cat. We should be of great use to you in your stage play review. Well, okay then. Let us begin. Directed by fresh rising film director Ari Aster, Midsommar was a low-key horror movie featuring a group of American idiots heading off to Sweden in order to study a culture of bizarre religious zealots, along with taking their minds off their bleak reality. However, unbeknownst to them, they ventured into a world of nightmares, with darkness at every corner, and come face to face with their own inner demons once at death's door. It was a pretty trippy adventure with some good horror moments, but what people don't know is that Ari Aster originally pitched this concept as a slasher movie taking place in Sweden, without mentioning the deeper ideas in it at all. I think there's more truth to that statement than even Aster knew, because what we got was an overrated art house flick with only small amounts of creepy moments, nausea fuel, and cliches shoved up your wazoo. Yeah, I'm kind of not a fan of Midsommar. Sorry to disappoint you guys, but I think Midsommar was not the groundbreaking master horror flick that deserves recognition from all horror fans around the world. Honestly, Jordan Peele's Us was better. Regardless, absolutely everyone fell in love with this horror movie, and it earned high praise from folks who are starved for good horror content again. Even critics who I enjoy actually said that this movie was great and better than Hereditary in every way.
Oh, shit!
I saw the movie for myself and I was less than impressed, which is why we're here tonight. So many people have asked me to discuss modern horror movies getting released, and after finally watching one of these requests, I'm ready to give my thoughts on one of them. So let's stop wasting time and take the leap of faith. Keep an eye out for what you consume, ladies and gentlemen, because this is going to be trippy. This is my clipless review on the beloved Ari Aster horror masterpiece, Midsommar.
Go!
So, our movie opens up with a Disney-style storybook opening showing us the beautiful landscapes of a haunted Sweden town. Aw, that's nice. But then we cut to our main character, Danny Ardor.
That's me, but hey!
Danny is an overly emotional, fragile, shy girl with a history of anxiety and is currently having relationship issues with her lying scuzzbag idiot of a boyfriend. He's just a huge ash-hoe who makes Jake Skinner look like an angel in comparison and is dumber than Patrick Starr, so I'm just going to be calling him Idiot Boyfriend because that's essentially all he is. I'm way too good for this role. Danny is not much better. Apparently, she and Idiot Boyfriend have been suffering from relationship drama, and the two are both extremely toxic for each other. Idiot Boyfriend is a douche who couldn't care less about Danny's needs and takes their love for granted, while Danny is also so on edge that she comes across as ultra needy and obsessively crazed. Both their friends constantly tell each other to just break up already, but for some reason they never do that. Yeah, it's never explained why these two awful, disturbed idiots stay together. They drop those hints implying that, oh, my lover needs me because I support them bullcrap, but it's never quite elaborated on any further. Granted, it does get down the basic relatable steps of a dying romance with some big issues that people do go through in their lives, but it doesn't get deep enough for us to fully insert ourselves into their shoes. Especially when they're told how their love is toxic by friends, yet they still refuse to cut it all together immediately anyway. And it's only going to get worse from here, Wolfpack. So, how can Danny's life get any worse than it is now? Well, her psychotic sister killed her parents and herself in a murder-suicide, leaving her sibling totally orphaned and alone now more than ever. Oh, this is going to be fun. Yep, Danny's entire family died in a murder-suicide, leaving Danny all alone to suffer from her increased mental problems. And now her dick boyfriend feels obligated to stay with her, since he's afraid he'd look like an ass breaking up with her now, since she just lost her whole world. Nothing but fun times here on this horror journey. So yeah, Danny spends a lot of time feeling screwed up and depressed and angsty. I will admit that you do really feel for her here, and it does do a decent job at setting up the sympathy of our protagonist. Not to mention, it strongly implies that mental illness runs in her whole family, foreshadowing the events that play out later. So well done, Aster. That is amazing character establishment. Here's your medal. However, it does start to lose me when we go on with the other plot points. Idiot Boyfriend and his douche bros just so happen to be anthropology students who are going on a trip to Sweden to study a strange pagan cult out there who are hosting a once-in-a-lifetime sacred ritual that barely anyone has ever witnessed before.
What a coinky-tink.
Some of the douche bros want to attend this ceremony so they can gather up data for their college term papers, while others want to go just so they can get laid. Yes, seriously. Half of the idiot boyfriend's idiot buddies want to go to this special dark ritual ground just to pick up chicks and get laid. This was a highly praised horror movie, right? then why does this epic classic horror masterpiece contain the most unoriginal cliched character archetypes and overdone premises in a horror movie? This award-winning horror flick literally has the idiot morons who go camping in a dark forest to get high and have lots of sex, but of course, getting more than what they bargained for and killed plot. This is the setup to every Friday the 13th movie ever. Why did so many people praise it as an original horror masterpiece when this setup has been done to death for the past few decades? Now, I do want to make it clear that I'm not against this killers in the woods premise, but it does upset me that we're opening up with such a cliched introduction. And this movie still got points for its originality when really it doesn't deserve them. Oh, and if you think I'm being too harsh on this movie too quickly, well, wait until you meet our cliched characters. Or as the nostalgia critic likes to call them, cliché-kers. Other than the innocent, fragile flower Danny and her idiot boyfriend, we also have the token black guy. I'm the black guy. He is the team nerd of the group, and the obvious dead man walking. We also have the idiot horny jerk-ass Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark.
He's the obvious dick character who acts annoying and useless until he gets killed off first.
This sucks. Give me some drugs and hot chicks. I wanna party!
And lastly, for the idiot brigade, we have Pell. He's shockingly the only nice guy on the group who treats his buddies and even Danny with love and respect. However, he's also a Swedish college student who was the one that invited the idiots to his homeland in the first place, so he'll obviously be our twist villain for later.
I love you guys. You can totally trust me. Yes, sirree, Bob.
Yep, all three of our supporting characters are the most overused character types in all of the horror genre. So now our dream team consists of emotional nice girl who will clearly survive because tragic, the idiot boyfriend who will get his karma, the token black guy who will die, the token dick guy who will die, and the guy who is far too nice to ever be evil, so he'll likely be evil in the end. Most original horror story, my litter box. By the way, the token horny idiot who annoys everyone is actually played by Eustace Scrub from the Narnia movies. And guess what? He's still protecting his title as most obnoxious crybaby ever because Mark sucks more than his bratty kid role did.
My house. Do as I please. You'll just guess. I'm fascinating now. I picture anyone. City.
Your girlfriend is just the worst. Why don't you break up with her? She sucks. You suck. Everything sucks. Who cares about her problems? When are we going to Sweden? I want to hook up with some Swedish babes.
So, as I said, Pell, the Swedish foreign exchange student, invites his dude bros to visit Sweden with him and bear witness to his people's wicked satanic rituals. But the model of loving romance idiot boyfriend failed to tell his own girlfriend that he'll be going on vacation to Sweden without her. This naturally leads to the two horrible lovers bickering like morons. And instead of breaking up for good, here and now, the idiot boyfriend reluctantly invites his girlfriend along on their trip to Sweden with them in an attempt to patch things up. Oh, but just in case you still don't hate idiot boyfriend's guts, he does so in the most dick way possible.
I don't know if I should come. You want to come. Okay.
So, let me get this straight. You both know your relationship is crashing and burning at this point, but instead of breaking up before your constant arguing grows into something abusive even further, you both decide to go on a trip where you'll be forced to be together even longer while you're both going through some big personal dilemmas, and you somehow think that this will all be a good thing. We at least do get a scene of Pell being nicer to Danny than anybody else in the group is, which does make me like him more because he feels like an actual person, making the grand reveal that he might be evil have a much greater impact since we see that he has more kindness in his heart than the other cliché-occurs do.
I'm sorry for your loss, Danny, but if it helps, My People's Festival can be a fun event that could cheer you up. We make Wicker Man look like King of the Hill in comparison. Thanks, pal, but alas, I can never forget the tragedy of that day.
Pinky, can you drop the goofy smile? This is supposed to be cereal.
What smile? That's not a smile, that's my face mask! Without it, the minds of human beings will be scarred for life, with a haunting image of my true form for all eternity!
Oh.
Yep!
Okay, carry on then. So the stupid team finally arrives in Sweden, where things look a bit trippy. We do get some pretty cool images and visuals that do look slightly fairy tale-ish. The setting is really cool. There's many slanted buildings, creepy religious symbols and omens, all the Swedish oddballs are dressed in white cloaks and constantly smile, and they even have a Bill Cipher building secluded in the background.
It's a cult, you know. They pay me in jams and jellies.
Yeah, it's not very subtle, but you can clearly tell that this entire town is a sinister cult that's going to menace our main characters. Here's another problem I have with this movie. There are approximately 0 twists and turns in the plot whatsoever. If you've ever seen a horror flick in your life, then chances are you can predict everything bad that's going to happen. Who's going to live or die, which characters are good and which are evil. The cult that seems nice at first glance is secretly dark as sin, and what bad things are going to occur down the line later. There is no surprise to any of the writing. You can see all of the horror moments coming. I mean no exaggeration that the mysterious cult does every little plot element you would ever see in a cult horror story. They act nice at first, they creepily smile, they sing unsettling songs, they host creepy rituals, they assault the non-believers, they commit unsettling sexual desires, incest all around, and of course drugs. Lots and lots and lots of drugs, y'all. Now, Ari Aster does take advantage of the drug themes in this story and tries to use them to his greatest potential. We see the camera filming everything at unnatural angles, the world of color nearly consuming everything we see, bizarre lighting, the main characters act like they are all on a bad trip, and the movie feels like it's trying to show us what a bad drug trip looks like. However, it gets a little too confusing. It becomes kind of difficult to make everything out shown on screen, and sadly, it drags on for far too long. Instead of getting terrified by all the trippy film tricks, all it makes me think is,
what the hell just happened?
I'm kind of disappointed Aster didn't take more of an advantage with this filming style, because you kind of expect it to escalate the more drugs the characters get addicted on. But nope, it kind of stops itself short just when it gets super good. I did kind of love the scenes where Danny imagines herself becoming one with nature, because they did look pretty awesome. Tragically, Aster sticks with his central plot, which has very little surprise to it. Speaking of which, guess what our main characters do once they're all settled in at the ceremony grounds?
Let's get home.
Ugh. Seriously? This beloved, award-nominated horror flick is also doing the overused party animal victims get high off their asses trope when really they shouldn't because it'll only be easier for the villains to kill them crap? Why? While it does lead into Aster's creative filming techniques some more, all it does is make those who are genre savvy aware of how screwed all these people are because doing drugs in a horror movie is always a death sentence.
Might as well just come out here to investigate a strange noise or something.
Oh, but while Danny is high, she goes to the bathroom and spots something scary. But it's literally so dark that I couldn't see what or who it was at all, so it's a failed scary moment. I actually had to look it up on Wikipedia to learn that Danny imagined seeing her dead sister in the dark bathroom because it was that difficult to make out. This is supposed to be their ghost grandma moment like on Hereditary, but it's done so darkly and so quickly that it leaves little to no impact and it never comes up ever again.
Well, that was pointless.
Oh, and we also meet two more victims, characters, named Simon and Connie. They're a loving couple from the United Kingdom, also vacationing in this Swedish cult ground. They're intended to be a clever reflection of Danny and her idiot boyfriend, since rather than being the toxic, decaying romantic couple falling apart, these two genuinely love each other and are an item Danny wishes her love to be similar to. Though, let's be honest, despite this clever idea, the British couple are just extra bodies tossed into the death toll. They get cool deaths, but matter very little in the story overall. In fact, if it weren't for their awesome death scenes later, I would have forgotten they were even in this. So for the next 30 minutes, the idiot tourists look around the whole cult ground while the cultists do very weird things. Everyone apparently has to eat meals together in unison at yard parties. They encounter creepy cult leaders who ominously warn them to behave themselves. People just stand there menacingly. The village idolizes these elder leaders who will most definitely not be important in the story for later. And we get this bizarre tapestry montage where we see the foreshadowed events for later too. Apparently, the cult believes in a weird love ritual where a boy meets a girl puts her period blood and pubic hair into boy's food, and feeds it to him, and that hypnotizes the boy into falling in love with her. Ah, tale as old as time. You girls know what love is like, right? Don't you always put your pubes and period blood into your crush's food to win their heart? It always works. I think now's a good time to warn you guys about the harshest criticism I have. This scary movie is not scary. Absolutely nothing all that scary or dark ever goes down in this flick. All the horror moments are more or less gross out scenes and gore meant to squick us out. The cult does many gross things that make you vomit, but it's not enough to disturb you once it's all over. They put their bodily fluids in their food, sleep with their family members, encourage creepy sexual encounters, and do just about every little creepy thing you could imagine in sex. But Aster makes sure that it's never hot sex, since he wants it to be so gross that it'll turn you off from sex for life. All the cult stuff is just disgusting, but as I said in my Jack Attack review, disgusting does not equal scary. Even the angry video game nerd is aware of that. Just look at this gross, gnarly scene and try not cracking a smile.
What am I gonna do about it? What am I gonna do about it? I'm gonna shit on this. I'm gonna take a huge dump. Here I go. And I had baked beans for dinner. You want shit, you shitty fucking game? Well, here it comes. Here it comes. Oh, you shitty shit game. How you like that? Oh, it's nasty. Oh, God. Oh.
Just because you do something screwed up doesn't make it a horrifying scare. It just makes it nauseating. And not to beat down the movie some more, but a ton of this gross out content becomes unintentionally hilarious at times. I mean, how are we supposed to take in some of this weird, scary, psychosexual stuff so seriously when it feels like it belongs on a teen sex comedy? People were actually afraid of this? I don't get it. Oh, and they also pass by a bear in a cage. That's just plain weird. Oh, and just to show you how stupid these main characters are, and how unimpressive the gross-out stuff was, all the main characters go to bed like nothing happened at all. Even they aren't shocked by any of the creepy stuff they just saw. But the next day, we finally get to Midsommar's signature scene. All of you who've seen the movie should know exactly what I'm talking about. The village elders' final rite of passage scene. You see, the village elders must commit a special suicide ritual once they are no longer of physical use to their tribe in order to pass on to the new life. And they do this by tossing themselves off of a cliff while the whole town observes. And naturally, Pell made the wise decision of giving his out-of-towner buddies front row seats to all the fun, where they reenact the audience's reactions to this grim scene. However, the cultists don't seem to see it as a problem at all, because it's just their way of tradition. I'm sorry, I can't show you guys this exact scene, but we'll have to go with the next best option for our version of it. The other old guy jumps next, but he's not so lucky. Oh my gosh, that poor guy is still alive! Somebody do something! I'm the black guy. We then get this really weird scene where the whole cult mimics the dying old man's cries of pain, which was intended to symbolize how they're trying to feel for their elder's pain, like as if he was one of their kin, but honestly it comes across like they're all making fun of him. Really, the cult comes across as mocking the dying guy, rather than empathizing with him. After all this time, Aster still sucks at crying scenes. Don't worry, we have special precautions for this. Executioner!
You killed those people! Why?
It's alright, folks, it's alright. This is all a part of our way of life. These elders took their own lives in order to reach the new superior afterlife where they shall be rewarded for all their suffering in our reality. We do this all the time, so there's no need to worry. So, after that hilarious barrel of laughs, the group decides to leave. Finally, a smart decision in a horror movie. But naturally, Aster was only joshing us because he instantly follows up this leaving idea with more face-palming stupidity. Most of the group wants to go, but if you can believe it or not, the token black guy argues that they should stay. The black guy somehow convinces them that staying longer is a good thing since they should take the opportunity to study this religious tribe and learn their ways, so he can use their teachings for his college paper. You freaking morons! You see this cult doing screwed up rituals, kills their own loyalists without hesitation, and even react hostile towards the tourists who disrespect their religion, yet you think that this is a perfect chance to have good things in your career. You're not going to have a career if you stay. This is the aspect that costed this movie a perfect score. The idiot moments. Oh lord, the idiot moments. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. This horror story is plagued by so many painful idiot decisions. So many that it makes me question what the heck Ari Aster was even thinking when he wrote this out. All of the characters make so many wrong choices in this that it hurts. This was the groundbreaking masterpiece everyone sucked the ego of? Hey, let's stay in this deadly cult ground, even though we know the people here are unstable. Death is around every corner, they constantly drug us every meal, and they ominously threaten us for even questioning their ways. What can possibly go wrong? How the hell are we supposed to relate with these characters when they do so many stupid things that absolutely nobody with a single brain cell would ever do in their life? I'm sick to death of characters acting stupid in horror stories just to drive the plot forward. It's lazy writing and disconnects people with the characters entirely. How can we bond with idiots? Not to mention, it feels really insulting that it's the token black guy of all people who decides to have the group stay longer because it gives away that he'll eventually die an ironic death. Where's the surprise? The main characters are all doomed, and it's obvious why, because they're all stupid. How does this have fans?
I don't know.
Oh, but the British couple actually makes the smart decision of getting the hell out of here. But guess what? Them being intelligent wasn't enough to save them. The British couple decided to leave the next day, only to mysteriously vanish off screen and are never heard from ever again. Ooh. Gee, I wonder what happened to them.
Dad!
So we cut to the next day, where the idiots are sadly still kicking, and they all decide to learn more about this awesome cult town, because they seem so nice. I think the movie also tries to give more depth to our main cast, but it's not enough to make you really like them or see something more in their souls. Everyone except Danny and Pell is such a blank slate in this. The writing given to the support players also doesn't give them more time to shine. We get more of idiot boyfriend being a dick to Danny.
You want to spend time together? It's my birthday today!
Pass. More of token black guy being generic as hell. I'm the black guy. More of Mark being an obnoxious douche. Hey baby, wanna get it on? Why are there so many bugs in this hellhole? Sweden is so gross. This nasty ass country sucks. And Pell actually acting nice towards Danny, playing with the audience's expectations over whether or not he's truly a trustworthy friend or just as evil as all the other cultists are. You know, I actually kind of like Pell. He's the only one with any kindness in his heart and has a tragic backstory to boot about losing his parents before the cult took him in and raised him to follow their guidelines, which surprisingly makes him all the more interesting compared to everyone else in this. Why wasn't this guy a central focus in the plot? He's much more unique compared to idiot boyfriend token black guy, and especially... Thumbs up for the Pell movie. We should have gotten more scenes like this.
Happy birthday, Danny! I made you a drawing! Aw, thanks! You're so sweet! I know you're not exactly having a good time here, but you know what could lift your spirits? A dance! A dance? What kind of dance? We host a special festival dance where the winner with the most spunk is crowned the May Queen, an esteemed position among our people. It's happening real soon, so maybe you should join us. If anyone deserves to be queen for a week, it should be you. Well, hot dog! That helps me get over my tragic dead family.
You see, it's scenes like that which feel clever, emotional, nuanced, and very well written. Pell is the only unpredictable wild card in the story, since you can't tell if he's being a true friend helping a friend in need, or secretly drafting her into his cult. It also adds layers for the guy who is much better than his idiot dude bros are. Yet the movie is constantly held back by the cliche-occurs who should have been killed before the halfway point. Oh yeah, these idiots continue to live on in the story for far too long. That elder suicide ritual doesn't happen until the 1 hour mark, folks. The dude bros don't start dying off until after that. This movie goes on for nearly 3 hours. 3 hours. Boy howdy, let me tell you all right now, this movie did not need to be almost 3 hours long. Only 2 people in this plot are interesting, while everyone else is a walking cliche or a totally obvious dead man, yet Aster drags it on for freaking ever. Midsommar has some serious issues with the pacing. It gets slow multiple times, and we have quite a few moments where nothing happens or a scare that goes absolutely nowhere, making this movie feel longer than it should have been. I mean, did we really need to have so much time of the idiot characters being stupid or annoying? Why can't we get some screen time dedicated to Danny's family, who they were, why their deaths hit her so hard, if she's crazy or not, like the Hereditary mom was? Heck, why don't we get to know the idiot boyfriend some more? Is he an all-around nasty prick, or was there a time when he and Danny were a happy couple? How did Danny even fall for such a gross dipwad? Were they ever loving to begin with, or was it all shallow lust? Guess what? It's all just tossed aside or never answered. How are we supposed to care or feel for all these people when they get such little screen time to shine as people? Hereditary did this too, but better. We started off with a small family who were essentially cliches found in cheesy horror flicks too, but Aster actually provided them time to grow as deeper characters, and they eventually did outgrow their stereotypes and feel like tragic people. They go from being one-note stereotypes to actual people with their own inner demons and drama, so it is possible to care for them once the nightmares claw their way into their lives. Danny's dude bros don't even come close to that development. They start out as generic annoying horror cliches and die as generic annoying horror cliches. Their deaths are so predictable, and when they happen, you don't care. Why? Because they act like nothing but one-note idiots or such huge jerks that you can tell the villains will kill them for being so obnoxious. Don't believe me? Well, again, here's my proof. The idiot horn dog Mark accidentally pisses all over a sacred tree the cult cherishes, and rather than apologize or atone for his screw-up, he actually goes out of his way to insult and criticize the cultists for complaining to him. How dare you soil our sacred ancestral tree? Apologize at once. Who cares? It's just a dead tree. Why does it matter? Jeez, Mark, that's like Captain Archer levels of insulting right there.
They're gonna find out what being offended is all about.
Yeah, you just know he's dead. And by making him such a moronic prick about his mistake, you don't care when he dies later on. But Aster still didn't think that scene was subtle enough, so we get this scene of Mark getting obviously led to his death. Follow me. I wish to show you something. Well, nothing suspicious about that. Pardon me, bros. This creepy hot chick wants to show me some things. Hehehehe. Gee, I sure hope the crybaby dickwad turns out okay. While the tourists eat some lunch, or dinner, I don't know, you can never tell what time it is whenever it's daylight, Idiot boyfriend somehow gains the attention of a female cultist who hits on him by feeding him a bowl of her pubic hair and period blood. And the saddest part of all, this scene was actually meant to be scary. Yes, while it is scary that a creepy cult girl wants to tap one of the other characters who is likely doomed, the fact that she seduces him by feeding him her bodily fluids is not scary. It's honestly kind of funny. Not helping matters is the fact that this scene was seriously done as a joke on an anime. A scene that was done as a joke on an anime is now being played as a dead serious scare in an American horror movie, and the most painful part is that everyone ate it up.
Was that pun intentional?
Shut up, Pinky. This leads me back into my point earlier. Gross does not equal scary. All of Aster's attempts to squick us out are either just plain disgusting or unintentionally hilarious. This is like something an idiot bully does as a prank, not a hardcore horror villain scare. I feel like Aster wants to pay homage to those classic grim fairy tales where dark stuff like this did happen, but it just doesn't terrify as much as it should. I'm sorry, but I've seen scarier. All this scene does is set up that symbolic creepy romance from the tapestry earlier, where it's implied idiot boyfriend was drugged into falling in love with creepy little cult girl, and it honestly makes you kind of hate the boyfriend even more because he was willingly checking this girl out earlier when he wasn't on drugs. Oh, by the way, the creepy cult girl was stated by Ari Aster to be only 16 years old. Yeah, this hot chick is only 16 years old. She's only 16 years old. She's only 16 years old. She's only 16 years old, and the idiot boyfriend was totally into her before he got drugged up and overdosed. So not only is the idiot boyfriend a liar, a creep, an irresponsible crybaby, a coward, a dick to his girlfriend, and an all-around awful douche face, but now he's also a pedophile. Okay, to be fair, the age of consent in Sweden is actually 15 years old. I did check it out just to make sure I didn't go on a big tangent. This girl is legal in her home country, but in the eyes of American viewers, the idiot boyfriend is certainly a diddler, and most definitely a cheating bastard in all our eyes at this point. Which makes me want to scream, why do people say the idiot boyfriend is somebody you can empathize with? He is a colossal jerk, and the moment where he considers cheating on his girlfriend with an underage teenager in another country only solidifies my hatred of him. Yet some people, including other web critics I love, argue that this movie makes you sympathize with terrible people in the end. What? I don't feel a damn ounce of sympathy for this guy or his band of merry idiots. Screw them, they're all pricks. I don't know what enchanted crack pipe Kyle Nordy and Spongy were smoking when they said the boyfriend can be sympathized with, because I sure as hell didn't feel jack for him. He sucks and deserves death most of all. The boyfriend is anus scum. And now we get to this scene. This was easily the dumbest moment of the entire story. It was so unintentionally so bad that it's hilarious levels of stupid. We see the token black guy going around asking the cult leader some questions for his stupid essay that he wants to die over, where the sage leaders finally grant us the backstory behind their dark religion. I'm so glad you seek to study our great ways, young one, but what we tell you must be kept vague enough to not draw any unwanted attention. Do you understand? I'm the black guy. Excellent. Our sacred texts are written by our wise oracles, who are given special precautions among our tribe. They write out new pages for our sacred texts, and we obediently follow them with unquestioning loyalty. That way, our blind devotions can assist us in achieving our perfect afterlife once we end our current life cycle. And how do you choose these wise oracles to continue on your faith? Our wise oracles are brought into this world by incest. Oh, but if that wasn't dumb enough for you, it gets better. You see, incest is a vital part of this community. It is how we create our pure ones. Our incest babies can only be the wise oracles guiding our ways because they are born unnaturally. Since they are unlike us, quote-unquote, normal people, the oracles are born disconnected from what we perceive as a normal life. They are unbound by the shackles of reality and short-sightedness, and can see things we cannot possibly imagine. Since our oracles are not restricted by the rules of normalcy, they can see the universe beyond our comprehension. Hence the reasons why they design our customs and newer teachings. They see what we fail to see. They are special. If you didn't abandon all hope when you heard this part, then I just have to ask, why? Why and how did anyone who watched this part of the movie still maintain their investment in the flick and not crack up laughing hysterically at this sheer stupidity? The cult literally spells it out for us that they purposefully begin unnatural incest relationships, as in banging your family members, and purposefully create deformed, cerebrally challenged incest babies so the messed up children can draft their sacred religious texts for them. And they blindly follow all the words and pictures made by mentally challenged children with a bloody passion, taking it all in seriously as their unquestionably enlightened faith. This is stupid. How did people actually praise this up as one of the greatest horror stories of not just 2019, but of the entire decade? People thought that this was a step up from Hereditary? Incest baby sages. Incest baby sages. This was a masterpiece horror movie.
Oh, shit!
This is so laughably bad that I question everybody who ignored the Haunting Hour and Crypt TV in favor of idolizing this bull. I get that most cults are moronic, but can any of you seriously look me in the eye and tell me that it's not a dumb idea to base an entire religion on mentally challenged children drawing out weird stuff and killing people because the incest babies foretold it? This is like something you'd see out of a South Park episode, not an adult horror movie featuring toxic relationships and self-identity worth. This was the plot element that unfortunately costed this tale any chance at a gold skull from me. I actually thought it would have been better if we did not know this cult's origins. You know, keep it shrouded in mystery and dreaded unknown. That way it feels all the more creepy that the cult is that unnerving, bizarre, and unknown. But nope, instead, Aster seriously says that all of this was thanks to magic inbred babies.
'Cause incest is wincest!
So yeah, I hope you are all satisfied with this answer of how this cult started and didn't laugh your ass off because this was Aster's attempt to give us lore. And even still, despite knowing this whole religion was devised by incest baby sages, the token black guy is still impressed by all of this and wants to learn more. Alas, the cult leaders refuse to show him the magic textbook to read everything. So, instead of taking all this decent information that can grant him more than enough content for an essay, the token black guy chooses to break into the sacred temple at night to steal the cult's textbook for his school assignment. Oh joy, more people acting stupid to drive the conflict. Great horror flick. But then, token black guy spots his dead best friend Mark in the dark corner. But surprise! It's a cultist wearing Mark's skin, and he kills black guy. Oh no, the horny idiot and token black guy are both dead now. What a shock. Who cares? Now some of you may be asking, why did the bad guys tear off and wear Mark's skin after killing him for the tree pissing incident? Never explained. It does look a bit creepy, but it's kind of forgotten about later, and nobody ever wears the idiot's skin ever again.
Well, that was pointless.
And number 2, I cannot believe that this, super original masterpiece horror work seriously followed the black guy always dies cliche in the modern day. Are you serious, Aster? You followed the most predictable, obvious, unoriginal cliche of having the black guy die in the horror flick just to make us fear for the white characters in a modern-day horror story. Oh my gosh. This movie came out in 2019, and we're still following the black guy always dies cliche. I want you all to remember that, folks. This epic, awesome original horror classic followed one of the laziest horror cliches in the book. Curse you, Ari Aster. I thought you were some kind of rising horror genius. What the hell happened? Oh, by the way, token black guy and Mark's deaths have zero impact on our final 2 main characters because they never asked the cult town what happened to them the next morning. Why were those idiots even in this if this was the end result?
The world may never know.
But enough of our dead missing friends, we got another wild party to get to. Danny tries spending time with her dick boyfriend and is asking to leave, but of course, he's still a huge jerk.
Do you want to stay by my side? I'm scared.
Pass. So Danny is forced to spend time with the Swedish cultists instead, where the local girls offer her some kitchen time and fun on a bun. Oh boy, you know how great that Swedish cooking is. So, after bonding with a few of the locals, guess what both our main characters do next? Yes, really. Despite knowing that death is an average Tuesday around here, despite knowing that their friends are disappearing one by one, and despite being told point blank by the evil cultists that they've been feeding them drugs, both Danny and idiot boyfriend still consume the villain's drugged food. These people are morons! Why are we supposed to want them to survive this whole nightmare when they constantly act stupid? These idiot decisions just hurt the film so much and feel so lazy just to get to all the horrific stuff. Stop making characters stupid in horror movies. It's bad writing 101. So, after devouring those fantastic drugs, Danny enters the dance ceremony mentioned earlier, while idiot boyfriend enters creepy girl's pants. Danny goes through this really disorienting dance party, which is shot pretty beautifully and unnerving, with some imagining spots where she thinks that she sees her dead family members among the crowd or in the trees, which are pretty good. I do tip my hat off to Aster. He at least knows how to feed your eyes with stunning imagery. So nicely done, guys. Danny, of course, wins the dance competition and is crowned the cult's May Queen, which kind of raises some questions about this religion for me. So, outsiders can gain high status among the sacred cult ranks just for dancing better than anyone else? Is that how religion works? Well, considering that this place was founded by mentally unwell children, who the heck knows, right? So while things are looking up for Danny and her life, the movie reminds us that idiot boyfriend is still a prick since he snuck off to bang with creepy underage cult girl, since he's jelly of how cool his girlfriend is now without him. But then we get to a partially creepy / partially funny gross out scene where idiot boyfriend and creepy girl enact a sex ritual where he must bang the teenage girl, all while these other naked old ladies watch them, jack off, cheer them on, and even help him nail the other chick. What the hell, Aster? This is sick! How is this supposed to be scary? This is just a nauseating orgy with people cheering on like a live studio audience. Ari Aster is out to kill your sex lives, people. I'm terminating my freaking Pornhub accounts. I'm off sex for years now. Again, gross does not equal scary. This sex scene is more or less vomit-inducing and not flat-out grim or dark. And I can't argue that it is unrequired either, because this is sadly a plot point. Thanks, ass. Naturally, Danny somehow hears the faint screams of her boyfriend orgasming, despite not being able to hear every other dead character's death wails from earlier.
Great continuity!
And of course, she sees her bastard boyfriend cheating on her, finally realizing that he's a dick, and she runs off to cry. I probably could have felt for her, but they should have broken up long ago. Their love is a joke. And just to make it even dumber, the idiot boyfriend doesn't see anything wrong with this and still goes along with their nasty-ass sex.
Drugs, bud. Your brain must be, really messed up.
Evidently, Aster did try to imply that he was getting raped in this scene, but you really cannot tell if that is what's happening or not. And the guy was a creep for being into the teenager regardless, so who cares? Danny has a panic attack and cries in anguish, but all of a sudden, the cultists all comfort her in this particularly odd scene where they all cry with her. This is supposed to symbolize that Danny is now becoming one with her cult family, but much like the old man's death scene, it sounds like they're all mocking her rather than relating with her. Aster, you suck at crying scenes!
All the performances are very good in this movie. Even great at times, but this cry moment is the worst.
So, at long last, Danny feels happy upon realizing that the cult is her true home, and they welcome her into the farmlands to be their queen forever.
Wow! Evil rules! Screw my old life! I want to kill people if it means I have best friends!
To be fair, I can give credit that Danny's actress is pretty great at acting in this film. Sure, I think it's all completely silly, but to her credit, she does give a great performance, and is so talented at taking all this in like a serious drama. So she's aight. Meanwhile, idiot boyfriend finally comes to his senses when the sex ritual ends, and he wanders around naked in the cult town. Again, Aster seems to have confused his notes on what makes a grim horror tale with a wacky comedy script. Then, finally, the last horse crosses the finish line, where he notices the corpses of all his dead friends. He sees token black guy's legs being used as fertilizer, we see Connie's corpse being dragged away in a wheelbarrow, and admittedly the scariest of all, we spot that Simon was turned into a deformed scarecrow. It does look pretty dang terrifying. What makes it even more disturbing is that the movie actually implies that Simon might still be alive while posed as a mutilated scarecrow strung up in the barn. Yeah, this guy might still be alive despite being disemboweled and strung up as a dummy, since we see some of his body parts are still moving. But it's kept vague if the wind is blowing them or if it's really his life signs. Holy cow, is that scary? Why couldn't we get more stuff like this, Aster? This is finally scary! But before we can see more awesome grisly stuff, idiot boyfriend gets knocked out with a paralyzer drug by the cultists. Ow. So the cult gathers up everyone still alive, including the paralyzed idiot, where they gather around to worship the May Queen Danny.
That's me!
It's soon revealed that the cult sacrifices people every few years so they can purge their town of all sin, and many of these sacrifices are outsiders who the cult lures in. Naturally, everyone who we saw die throughout the movie has had their corpse dragged into the Bill Cipher building to burn down. However, the cult requires one last person to kill, and this person must be chosen by the May Queen. Cue Danny coming outside, now dressed in so many plants that she looks like a flower pot herself.
Look at me! I'm a girl covered in dead plants! Just call me DeForest Kelly!
And at last, Danny has to choose which person to be the last sacrifice. Well, gee, I wonder who in this crowd of people she will choose to be the final death. Can you tell me which of these characters will be the ultimate sacrifice? It's so suspenseful.
Sorry, boyfriend dear. It's not me. It's you.
Yeah, what a twist. At last, fed up with her dick boyfriend being a dick, Danny lives out every woman's fantasy of having her douchey ex-boyfriend executed. Oh, what? Like none of you didn't cheer as well? The idiot boyfriend is such an awful scumbag that I'm more upset he didn't die first. Rumor has it that there are two kinds of camps regarding the dick boyfriend's death. Either you feel sorry for him in the end, since despite his shortcomings as a boyfriend, his ultimate demise was too cruel and harsh towards him. Or you're like me, and felt that he got exactly what was coming to him, and suffered his karma. I think you all know how I feel about him at this point. Screw this guy. I can't believe the final kill of the movie rested on building up to some broken emo chick burning away her wussy loser boyfriend. He should have died first. Then, for no real reason at all, the cult places the still paralyzed idiot boyfriend into a bear suit to burn away as the centerpiece of the temple's destruction. Because this whole plot wasn't like the Wicker Man enough, wasn't it? Yeah, it's pretty hard to deny at this point, but Midsommar is essentially just the Wicker Man. We have idiot characters, stereotypical evil cults, human sacrifices, lies, deception, cliches, bear suits, preachy speeches on the ugliness of humankind, jump scares, hallucinations, seductive horny cultists, gaslighting, off-the-wall lore, and a dark twist ending where somebody dies. This is The Wicker Man combined with a soap opera. Idiot bearsuit boyfriend and the other corpses are placed in the hidden temple and then set on fire to complete the ritual. However, the movie does this as slow as possible because they think we care about their untimely deaths. But I don't care about most of these people. They were all morons or jerks or both. Who cares? I care about the abusive boyfriend's death as much as I care about Jar Jar Binks' death.
Come on! Jar Jar, move!
And that's it. Yep, everyone who was a prick or a moron dies burning in the Bill Cipher building. Danny joins the cult, now as their queen. She severs all ties with her old life. Nobody looks into the disappearances of multiple people who most likely have their own friends and family. The cult is purified, and Danny creepily smiles as she finally achieved her true happiness after cutting all ties with her abusive boyfriend. This was the weirdest breakup movie ever. Roll credits. And that was the conclusion to Midsommar, a tragic summer romance. What do I have to say about it? Holy crap, was this the most overrated movie I have ever seen. I don't mean to brutalize everyone else's love for this, but I didn't really get into it all that much. It follows all the exact same tired old horror cliches, same predictable plot points, same overused character types, and same basic structure of an average cautionary tale. I'm sick to death of stupid teenagers going into the woods to party, getting high, having lots of sex, and making so many stupid decisions that'll ultimately get them killed, found in many by-the-numbers horror stories. And the fact that this was praised up as the revolutionary horror masterwork feels almost insulting. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I thought Hereditary was better. At least on there, I can say it was unexpected of how good it was. There were zero surprises in this feature. I saw everything coming a mile away and rolled my eyes at Astor's cluelessness at the cliches he fell into. It was not that outstanding. This is not the best horror movie of 2019. Jordan Peele's Us and Joker were better horror flicks. But enough of my angry rants. Was there anything good in it? Well, yes, there was. Despite my hatred, I do not think Midsommar is the most awful movie ever. I did get a good kick out of all the creepy visuals, the cinematography was gorgeous, Danny was a sympathetic person you can feel for, and the movie was structured well enough to tell a decent comeuppance story. I did love some of the ominous shots, the background details haunting the screen, some of the drug themes mesmerizing the film, the effects were perfect, the dead body reveals were masterful and nightmarish, and the sets were simply amazeballs. However, what brought them down for me were the predictable plot turns and the cliched characters. Midsommar is every by-the-numbers horror slasher movie, but simply glamored up to look like it's something beautiful. Ari Aster was just able to give an effort into making a good-looking film, but not a well-written film. Aster does have a real talent for creepy imagery and clever foreshadowing, but unlike Hereditary, what this film is ultimately building up to for the climax is not satisfying. The abused, tragic, fragile woman killing her abusive dickhead boyfriend is a common comeuppance story as old as time. We've seen the abuse victim striking back on Tales from the Crypt, The Haunting Hour, The Twilight Zone, and even in children's cartoons before. It's nothing new. Heck, most shows that do this kind of plot are only half an hour long, while the movie desperately pads out the runtime for this scary story arc when it didn't need to. So many of the useless stuff like the standing around scenes, the idiot douchebags, and the gross lovemaking scene could have been trimmed out entirely. This story did not need to be 3 hours long. Luckily, this movie's real central theme is an idea that I do respect. Midsommar is a tale about cutting ties with toxic relationships that are ruining your life and finding out who you are, as well as warning you about the dangers of who you can trust. Danny fell for the cult's charms because they did something her idiot boy toy nor his dumbass pig best friends never did. They treated her with kindness. Danny turns evil in the end because the cult respects her, comforts her, asks her how she feels, and gives her simple gestures of human love. Her douchebag boyfriend and her lost family never did that when she needed it the most. While Danny finds her new true home, she ultimately murdered the people of her past like her sister did and abandoned her own responsibilities to live among a deluded farmland of unstable people like her. It's only a happy ending from Danny's perspective because this new life is better than what she used to have. It's an ending that has a variety of emotions and outcomes, where the viewer can debate if her new life change is indeed brighter or darker than before. I do kind of like it, but I have to acknowledge that it was not worth the long, dull journey. This movie wants to connect to those poor, unfortunate souls who've had rough patches in their life and relationship problems as well. But by falling into the cliches, overdone characters, and idiot moments, it disconnects some of us with the weaker bullcrap. Most of my anger comes from the fact that this was praised up as a masterwork when it's not. We've seen so many better movies, even during 2019. This didn't earn its high praises. I'm sorry, but I can't agree that this was a perfect horror movie that deserves many awards, especially when I've seen this type of writing done by Friday the 13th, Hannibal, The Wicker Man, The Haunting Hour, and so many superior horror stories. It's just not right to call this an original creative masterpiece that's better than Hereditary, when much like Danny and Idiot Boyfriend's romance, it wasn't true at all. So, I grant this beloved horror movie a Silver Skull. I did not hop on board the Midsommar hype train. However, despite my whining, I didn't hate this movie either. I just felt bored and unimpressed by a lot of it. This movie is not the granddaddy of good horror storytelling, but it's also not the most horrible thing I've ever seen either. Midsommar is just average. It has some cool moments of brilliance, nice visuals, creepy concepts, good filming styles, and understands a tragic character arc. However, the cliches are dated, the idiot moments are painful, the plot is predictable, the pacing is as slow as a snail, it gets so boring at times, and some of the horror scares are just too silly to be terrified by. I honestly don't recommend it at all, since it is far too long and too depressing to watch for fun. Most of the pros and cons do kind of balance out, but overall, Midsommar is just an average trip. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, or just tune in for more videos posted here on Wolf Entertainment. I'm your host, Catastrophe, and I hope you all remember to love yourselves before loving other people. Otherwise, you'll be knee-deep in corpses. See you all next time. Hoo-wee, that sure was a toughie to sit through, but I want to thank all of you cats for your support. I appreciate it.
No problem. You'll be repaying us in 100 requests.
Wait, what?